Hello guys, and I have to warn you, this video was recorded in the sarcastic Anna regime, because how else can I speak about Donald Trump's comments on the Kremlin dictator Putin, whom the American president constantly names a great leader and a great friend, when Putin is just a great war criminal. Honestly, there are no serious, realistic reasons for any ceasefire or negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Also, I don't see any real instruments that Donald Trump is prepared to use against the Putin, because yes, Putin is the only one to blame for this aggression. And I thought it's quite important to discuss three very serious topics today. Number one, is there any realistic peace plan developed in the White House, maybe not by Trump, but by Rubio or Waltz or I don't know whom? Second, can we consider Donald Trump a Russian agent KRASNOV? Many of you asked me about this name and I've prepared some information. And third, maybe he is just a poor negotiator. Let's discuss all of that and try to make transparent conclusions together. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, the only possible peace plan, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. You know, recently I have come across one really funny quote, but unfortunately it is also true to life. So it says, if you want to know what Donald Trump will say tomorrow, listen to what the Kremlin says today. This seems like a bad joke, but unfortunately, a lot of very classical, traditional messages of the Russian propaganda now come from the White House. It's really painful for my Ukrainian heart, but it's not the first time we've been betrayed in history, and I see a tremendous difference between Donald Trump treats Russia and the American people treat Russia. And I was very happy to learn today that the majority of Americans, even those who support Trump in other issues, do not support his attitude to Ukraine. Thank you for that, and please demonstrate your understanding and support to my country and the need to defeat the Kremlin evil. This means a lot. So, for Donald Trump, the end of Russian war in Ukraine was a part of his election campaign. But from my perspective, his election campaign and messages, they were very chaotic, and no one asked him serious questions. Honestly, I see it's quite impossible to ask him serious questions because he never answers them and becomes very aggressive at people who ask these questions. But he keeps saying we have to stop the dying, nobody minds that, but not by giving up all the Ukrainians to Russia and pretending that nothing is happening, when we remember what happened to Ukrainians in times of the Soviet Union. Millions disappeared, and they did not disappear in a good way, trust me. So the plan of Trump right now is to start a ceasefire. Ukraine agreed on that long ago, and there is no answer from Putin. Trump is prepared to wait as long as it takes because he likes Putin that much. I don't know if there is any other leader on this planet that Trump likes more than Putin. If you know such a person, let me know in the comments below. That is actually interesting. So Russia will talk about the ceasefire, potential negotiations, while killing Ukrainians together with Trump, because you've seen that in attitude to Ukraine, the White House administration chooses these bad messages like shutting down intelligence, like banning the delivery of weapons, and a lot of other bad things. And for Russia, they promise lifting the sanctions and so on and so forth. So it is very likely that Trump will keep begging Putin for a ceasefire, and the process of negotiations can be very, very long. It will let Trump at a certain moment of time start trade with Russia, with Russian oligarchs. That's his dream. And the rest he doesn't care about. There are no realistic plans on how to control the front line, how to guarantee security to Ukraine and Europe, nothing at all. Just like, I know Putin, he's a good guy. This is a phrase that maybe in future will be analyzed by, lawyers in The Hague. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. That's important. And by the way, guys, remember to join my new channel where I speak about civilian life in times of the big war. A lot of important topics in these turbulent times. This is a weekly video channel and I will link it here. So let's finally discuss the central aspect of this video, and it is whether Donald Trump is a KGB FSB agent KRASNOV, or he is just a very bad, very poor negotiator. After I will share with you some arguments, please let me know in the comments below which version do you choose, Agent KRASNOV or poor negotiator. I am not a fan of various conspiracy theories, but first of all, there are a lot of articles which say that Trump traveled to the Soviet Union many times in the 80s, and oh my God, that is not usual. It was really difficult for a person from a rotting West to come and spend time in Moscow. So definitely he needed some very good connections in the Russian services to be allowed to do so. And as many smart people here in Ukraine say that with Trump's hobbies, I mean like women, a very wrong lifestyle, it's quite obvious that those KGB agents had a lot of information about him and could have used it when they needed. Also, there are a number of articles which say that he received financial support from Moscow during a number of his bankruptcies, which is not something new. But you cannot prove it, and I will not focus on that. But there are some steps that when I look at them, when I analyze them, they just shout, he is playing for Russia. Number one is that he is right now abandoning all of the Western democratic allies. And he speaks bad about the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, Ukraine, of course, but he compliments bloody dictators like Putin. Second, he disrespects NATO and this alliance between European and American countries, and that is a very bad signal. And he also allows Putin to veto things in NATO because he claims Ukraine cannot become a member. Why? A sovereign, largest in Europe country, independent, strong, that deserves it, cannot join NATO in future because Putin said no. This does not sound like the words of a leader of the free world. So this is the second aspect. And let's take something from the recent things. The end of support for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. This was the voice of hope and a symbol of the victory in the Cold War. That was the greatest dream of the Kremlin, to close Radio Free Europe. Many believe it is one of the reasons actually why the Soviet Union collapsed. It was a place that let voice, let people who come from these dangerous regimes, who were dissidents, to be heard. There are so many stories what this Radio Free Europe meant. And right now, when writing my book about Ukraine, I've got so many good and important data from the webpage of Radio Free Europe. They have so many good articles on this recent war, on Maidan revolution and so on. And Trump closed that, making maybe the biggest present to Russia. Maybe it means more to Putin than even this halt of intelligence sharing with Ukraine. So these are the things that I cannot explain without thinking that Trump plays for Russia. But there is also proof that he is just a poor negotiator, that he is really bad at speaking and thinking, because, somehow these things are connected. And his career is an example of different bankruptcies and lots of conflicts and lots of people who don't think that knowing Donald Trump is something good in their life. And I will tell you a story that back in 2016, I was translating his debates with Hillary Clinton. And at first I thought it's something wrong with the way I translate, because all of his sentences lacked sense and they were all like abrupt, they lacked subject, predicate, and here in Ukraine we often say like the message did not have a message in it. So that's exactly what I think when I listen to him. And right now on the Ukrainian news, we actually have some people who dub Trump with very Trump-like voice, but they also do not improve his sentences. They don't make them sound more logical or connected. They simply translate as he speaks. And oh my God, I had people in Ukraine asking me, is it fake? No, that's the way he speaks. So by letting Putin know he will not accept Ukraine to NATO, we don't know why, because we're an independent country, we don't need Trump's permission, but still he says that. By banning weapons delivery to Ukraine, sharing of intelligence, constantly threatening with Starlink, demonstrating disrespect to Ukrainian and European leaders, he definitely demonstrates that he's a bad negotiator. Even if he wanted to let Russia have something which is unforgivable and unacceptable, but still, he should have kept these cards, in Trump's language, until the start of the negotiation process. But now, even before the ceasefire, even before any negotiations take place, he promised Putin everything Putin wanted. That is definitely a sign of a very, very bad negotiator. So I'm genuinely interested. What do you think? And let me know in the comments below. So A, Agent KRASNOV, or B, simply poor negotiator. Attentive people might have noticed I'm wearing green, and that's because today is St. Patrick's Day. Congratulations to all who celebrate, and there's so many good things that we can do together. Apart from fighting, and I dream the day when Russia is defeated, because that's the only way to achieve lasting peace. All of you will come see Ukraine and definitely fall in love with my beautiful country. I'm very grateful for your support. Check our merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and we do need that right now. That is super important. Join me on X, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram and Discord, and remember to subscribe to my new channel. This makes me very happy, and I will leave the link in the comments below. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!